good afternoon. So do we have to reinvent personal sharing? Why? Because frankly, sharing is broken. How do people share today? Or how do kids share? How do adults share? Facebook. How many people here are not on Facebook? That's a lot more than most communities. And how many of you have those, especially those, or maybe those who are not on Facebook? Maybe that's because you read the terms of service. Have you read the terms of service? So if you haven't, let's read them together. So the terms of service starts with 4 simple words. You own your data. Oh my God, what am I complaining about? And then it has a very, very long list with many, many, many items. The first one says, you grant us a non-exclusive, transferable, sub-licensable, royalty-free, worldwide license to use any IP content that you post. It's many words. They can replace this with 4 little words. So do we. 3. Okay? Well, we are not familiar with the fact that ownership doesn't have to be exclusive. The fact that you own it doesn't mean that they don't own it. In case you don't understand exactly what that meant, they spelled it out. It says, you permit a business or other entity to pay us to display your name and our profile picture with your content or information without any compensation to you. Right? Just in case you sue, right? And then, if you still don't understand, they said, you understand that we may not always identify paid services and communications as such. They can use your name and image to sell anything they want, and it's theirs, all right? And I never smoke. They can make me promote cigarettes if they want to. This is how far we have gotten. And this is the picture that I have in my mind. It's like, at least in the back old days, you can still hope that the operators have ethics. But here, they promise to read your data, and they promise to take advantage of it and monetize it as well. And it is kind of a surprise that in the 2015s, this is where we ended up. If you think that this is bad, you have seen nothing yet. Because what is brewing in China is an extension of this. This is WeChat in China. They own about 500 million users in China. And so everybody is opening their chatting app 10 times a day, and they can market anything they want while you open the app. So for example, they are the #1 game revenue maker in the world. They make 50% more money than EA. Why? Because they have social recommendations. It is a closed system. One of the largest companies told me that if they want to distribute a game with WeChat, they have to pay them 85% of the revenues. This is what we mean by a closed system, okay? Then they decided they want to get into taxi service. They roll out this taxi overnight. You cannot hail a taxi on the streets because they give everybody 25 cents or 50 cents extra, okay? Everybody hears them. They own communication. They rolled out P2P payment overnight during Chinese New Year. Millions of transactions being made right away. They also rolled out a bank. It's called WeBank. And this is how entertainers, athletes, everybody is talking to their fans. They are not on browser. They are not on Facebook. They are on WeChat. And this is how you do communication with businesses. And they can recommend just about anything that they want. And it's a closed system, okay, because they own messaging. And this is very basic. And the question here is, it's not just a matter of privacy. It is beyond that. There's a question of open competition, okay? Basically, under communication, they can stick in any business that they want to. This is in China. What are we going to see in America? I don't know. Facebook has 1.4 billion people online, and they also just spent $23 billion to buy WhatsApp. And all they have to do is to copy, okay? It's already out there. So this is a concern. Actually, we saw that coming way back to some extent in 2008. We made a proposal to NSF. We asked them for money to create an open system. This is called the Programmable Open Mobile Internet 2020, and we got a $10 million grant. For those of you who know about software-defined networks, this is also funded under this project. That project is about disrupting Cisco, and we are about disrupting communications, disrupting Facebook in a sense, okay, to be short. So after 4 years at Stanford, we came up with this architecture that we think can actually work. Today, everybody has these mobile devices. They are little servers that you own. They are wonderful things, but we treated them like they are thin, dumb clients that is attached to some mothership called Facebook, okay? So in order for us to share, we don't send it to each other. We send it to mothership. Mothership owns it, and they let us share according to their rules, all right? This is very concerning because their rules may not be the rules that you want, and there are plenty more ways in which we want to share. So what we're saying here is that given that you have your phone, you should be able to share anything you want with whomever you want. You know, everybody says it's fair. You know, Facebook is free. They share it for you. They should own your data. I don't know about you. I spend about $100 a month paying for data plans, okay? You spend $100 a month, and I should be able to take a picture of you, share it with you, without anybody taking my data. This is not free. Our mobile and my data plans are not free. What is wrong is the way we route data. Okay? The data today's mobile internet is routed via TCP IP addresses. I don't know my TCP IP address because I move around, and of course I don't know yours. The only way for us to communicate is via human IDs, okay? My Facebook ID, my emails, my phone numbers. So what you really need is a routing network that understands identities. In fact, it's a group routing network. People go through this routing network. The most important thing about this network is that it is a utility. It's not a social network. It does not own users' data. It is this technology that should be built into the mobile and internet. It is really a level right above TCP/IP. If you have such a level, everything changes. We don't have to be controlled by one or two big parties. So for example, you can create an open API. So here's an example of 4 phones playing Scrabble with each other. All right? Scrabble is a little game, and they just send messages to each other. Let the apps send messages to each other on the phones through this network. All right? By the way, this is a store and forward network. Because sometimes your devices are offline, it stores it for maybe, say, 2 weeks, and then it destroys the data. Okay? It is not owning and holding people's data. And then on top of that, you create an open API that lets everybody choose where they own their data. So for example, if you are a Chinese citizen, you may want to own the data, put the data in the Baidu cloud. This is the way it should be internationally. There shouldn't be a company, an American or any company from some country owning the data of the world's citizens. There are lots of problems when that happens. As we know, for example, that Google is not in China because in a sense the data is their liability. So this is a way that can open things up, and this is the way we think it should be in the future. Obviously, we're talking about disrupting huge giants. Are we really crazy? What I want to remind you is the days of AOL. AOL was very, very powerful. This is how you access the internet, but it's a closed system. When you have an open system, everything is better because everybody can compete. So this is the Facebook stack. They have the WhatsApp, they have the Facebook Connect, they have the Facebook. WeChat only have messaging, and it is dominating China by itself, and they are growing. Apple has its own stack. Where is their Android stack? All right, so this is where we step in. We say that, look, we're a messaging system. It sits on Android. It also runs on the iPhones. You can download it today. It's called Omelet. And it's a little bit like a browser. You just download it and you interact with other people. It is an open system. You can plug in any clouds. You can plug in any applications. Every game maker is welcome. Everybody is treated fairly. It is an open market. And as a matter of fact, you use this for communication. The data belongs to you. Individuals get their own data. Businesses also get their data. It's not like they just send people to Facebook and all their relationships are lost to the social networks. So that's the idea, is that when you open it up, you really have a chance of getting partners to help you, because who doesn't? There are only a few parties who really don't want this open system, okay? And these are the monopolies. So So we did the work in 4 years. Our research group wanted to start a company, and we actually launched the company. And I helped them while I was on leave for 2 years. And the app has been launched. It was the most tweeted app at South by Southwest last year. We got a lot of people reporting us because they are just really looking for an alternative to this Facebook model. So we got some really good quotes from various press, magazines, and so forth. We have users who compared us with a lot of apps, and a lot of chat apps, and they like us better. We don't want to just be open. We want it to be better. Okay? It is a programmable app. It is better because everybody can chip in. And the good news is that even before we launch our app, we got our partners. We actually got OEM partners. And before we are actually working on a game social network. Before we launched the game network, we also got our game partners. And they are the biggest part. The game companies, for example, they have hundreds of million users in there, with them. Why are they partnering with a company like this? Because we are the neutral third party. We bring all the large companies together. They would otherwise not talk to each other, and we are seeing support. So that's a short description of this company. Now, the important thing is that we just have laid out the foundations for a lot more new sharing paradigms. This is just the beginning. Okay, let me talk about 5 things that I'm going to predict. It's going to happen. Well, we believe that every single time when you have a new computer generation, which is what we are seeing with the mobile devices, you're going to get a new foundation. This is a new foundation, and we have 5 predictions on how things are going to be different. Number one is that today, every little thing that you want to do, you have to join a network. If you want to share pictures that disappear within a few seconds, you have to join the Snapchat network. How many little networks, how many big networks or little networks are you going to join? So think about the browser. How many web pages do you visit in a single day? Plenty of web pages on a browser. What we have created is the ability for people to create little P2P web pages to extend the P2P social experience. Let's look at an example. All right? Some of you may not be familiar with chatting programs. I should show you an example because it's really important to understand why chatting is so big. This is an example. This is real life. I was sitting somewhere here, and this is guy in front of me. This is in the football, the Stanford football game. And every time we get a touchdown, this guy in the white shirt would get up, take off his shirt, and chest bump his friend in front of everybody in the stadium, right? So I thought that was pretty cool. They did it all the time, and then we were winning. We have so many touchdowns that day. I have my camera ready. So every time they chest bump, I took a picture, and this time I shared it with my team because they don't get to watch the football game. And then within maybe a minute or two, so one of my former students and colleagues decided that these 2 guys were not nude enough. So there's a little tool called Notifier. They just basically give you some flesh-colored pixels. And then they just modify this picture. All right. And then some other guy has another idea about what to do with poking fun at this situation. But what we are doing here is that we're collaborating of the easiest kind. I take a picture, you take my picture, you modify it, and you put it back. So, oh, by the way, this is what happened is that, let's see, how does this work? I actually took a GIF of it and shared it with the people in the team. You see how sharing is easy? I don't have to go type in the email address and ship it to them. They don't have to download it, edit it, and ship it back. All they have to do, oh, by the way, I get many likes, is that they push this button, the apps came up, and then they edit the picture. When they're finished editing the picture, they close it, it is sent. This is what we mean by social collaboration. If it is not easy, nobody will do it. Think about the enterprise collaboration tools versus the social collaboration tools. This is what we mean by, it changes collaboration. So for example, if you don't like the things that I gave you, you can actually create a new a new app. This is an app you can build in a few days. It allows you to take your own image and share it with your friend as a sticker, as a moving sticker. Okay? You don't have to pay people dollars just to download a penguin sticker or whatever sticker. It is creative. Everybody can do this. Give you an example. This kid, this is Rishabh Jain. When he was a sophomore, he's a Harvard high school student. In 2 days, he created a little app that takes a picture and it destroys it within a few seconds. Okay? And he called it Snap. He's not very creative. So the whole point here is like, you just have to extend the feature of a messenger. There is no need to create a new network for every single thing that you can imagine. Nobody will use this app, by the way. Everybody knows already it exists somewhere else. But there are many, many more high school kids like Rishabh who can come up with new things that they can test it and just roll it out to millions of people on this general framework. This is different. So here is another example. For the software engineering group, this is how we encourage people to submit comments when they check in code, because the comments are sent to everybody in the group in real time. If somebody stays up late, solves a big problem, the next morning everybody would say, like, thank you for doing this work. We have made it social. Now people will comment on whatever you're doing. This kind of concept, there is a company who sells you this tool, and it's like $7 per engineer every month. This is all free. It's 2 days worth of work. Then you can build it on top of a general purpose messenger. Okay? So this is what we mean by one of the biggest changes is that there will be a lot more social interactions. It is so easy. You don't need an Evite for invitations, Doodle for setting up events. WebEx, you should be able to do remote display, remote presentations trivially. You don't have to sign up with a corporate account with Cisco. Everything, there's just all these kind of little web pages that can be written. And it just transported over the messenger. There's no need for any server. That's number 5. What's number 4? You're going to do a lot more dynamic data exchange for mobile groups. We have mobile devices. If I take a picture of you, want to share it with you, you know how hard that is? Why should it be this hard? So what we have created in this system is a simple primitive. It allows you to broadcast a chat on the spot. Anybody can join in on the spot. You can protect it with a pin. And then you can create so this is an example. This is a real life, my student has a wedding. And everybody was taking pictures. They put it in the chat. And what you get is a beautiful collaborative photo album. You don't have to go ask people to take pictures of you using your own phone, because they took a picture and you see it on your own phone, right? You don't have to wait for people to upload, download. This is a better experience than sharing wedding pictures on Facebook. My point here is that if you want to disrupt anything, you have to beat them in the user experience. Mobile devices allow you to beat them in many, many ways. This is one way, mobile interactions. So I used this in a conference. I was the speaker at this Tizen conference, and I was taking pictures of people on the spot. I invited them to join my chat. There are people off stage and behind the stage that took the pictures of the same event, and we share it in real time with a whole bunch of people who don't know each other. Okay? We're just being on the spot. This is something that is so easy. Why are we not doing it? We did it at a concert. The DJs were talking to the people in the audience. They can ask the audience what songs they want to, for requests. And then the DJs also tell the people in the audience what songs they are playing so that they can remember it, or they can go and check those songs out later. This is all on the spot, spontaneous. You do not need a new company for every single kind of event. You don't need a wedding picture company and a conference event company. This is just communication. So what I'm saying here is that there will be a lot of software for mobile groups with no third-party owners. It's between you and your phones, backed up into your own cloud. When you get a new phone, you just log in, and the whole thing comes back. Okay? That's number 4. Number 3, there's going to be a new experience, what we call a natively social phone. I told you that we have partners. ASUS has already, they started selling the phones with our platform embedded last year, 1 month after we launched the chat. They're coming to the US in April. They are beautiful phones. It was like $150 or $200, 5-inch Android phone with Intel inside, no contract, okay? It's not like extra on top of a contract. But what they did is that they didn't just pre-install our chat app. They actually build an experience, build social apps on top of us. So for example, I talked about this wedding. If you use Omelet, you take a picture, you got the wedding. You got this beautiful photo album that we talked about. Where would you like to see your photo album? You want it in your gallery, okay? You don't want it be trapped inside a chat. What ASUS did is that they changed their Android gallery. If you go into the gallery, there are these events that you have participated using Omelet. You click on it, you see the pictures, you see all the people. You can click on the person, you can start chatting with this person. It is integrated into your phone experience. Here are all the pictures. I don't know if you can see, but there are these hearts. There are social features inside this album on your Android gallery. When you click into it, you see who likes the pictures, and you can like those pictures yourself. So you are now liking each other's pictures, commenting on each other's pictures without joining Facebook. All right, this is baked into the phone. How did they build this app? They just made a few calls into our framework. They did not write a single line of server code. And it is interoperable across all our Android partners. Did I mention who they are? Besides ASUS, Huawei has already has announced that they are partnering with us, and there are more that I cannot tell you right now. But so for example, Huawei is the #3 largest device manufacturer in the world today. But once it is carried on these Android platforms, everybody can write an app. I don't think this works. Everybody can write an app that is social by adding 2 lines of code. So all mobile apps in the future will be social using the context of your address book. And give you an example. I was in a MOOC conference in China. I discovered something very disturbing. You have these hundreds of thousands of people taking MOOC classes, right? These massively online classes. You have students here, you have students in China. How are they supposed to do homework together? In America, we use Facebook groups. You cannot access Facebook in China. And what about the documents? They use Google Docs. They are not in China either, okay? Once to create this platform, now your productivity tools will be social, and you will just be interacting with anybody. This is what I mean by sharing is broken today, okay? So this is #3. All right, what is #2? This chat is going to replace all kinds of things. It is going to replace, as a mass, of course, email, phone calls. People don't want to chat by voice. They will also be replacing the browser, okay? Nobody wants to browse on a mobile device anymore. Right? So, and because with this new chat system, everything is validated. You don't get the phishing like you do on emails. And it is better than browsers because they can notify you. Of course, you can block them too if you want to. So here's an example. This is a picture of like eBay. What we imagine in the future is that people just log into the various accounts they have, they verify it, and now when you go into this eBay chat, you know it is not phished because because everything has a certificate behind the message. And then you can start chatting with your personal assistant who knows your record, who knows what you want to buy or what you like. They can talk to you. But of course, it is actually a chatbot. It is not a person behind this until something requires personal attention, and they may switch you over to somebody in the call center. And this is how we're going to do things, I believe, in the future. Actually, we have started seeing glimpses of this in China. So for example, suppose you have a chat with United. You landed, your flight is delayed, or you missed your flight. It tells you it knows where you are, it knows what is the context, and they actually gives you apps and say, why don't you just click on lost bags right now? You don't have to go to wait in the counter so that you can tell them who you are. They have a connection with you. This is very secure, and it can be easily personalized. And so what we see here is #2 is that the chat is going to take over in terms of how we interact with businesses. All right, what do you think #1 is? What is the biggest thing of them all? Internet of Things. This is huge. This is hundreds, we are billions of units of phones. In the future, it's going to be hundreds of billions of things connected. How are we building our Internet of Things? The Cisco CEO said it is a $19 trillion market. Is that real? Do we believe in it? I do. Google spent $3.2 billion on one thermostat company. No problem. Why did they spend so much money on a thermostat company? It's the data. So there is a question that everybody was asking. Financial Times, May 1st, he says, who will be the Google of the Internet of Things? You have to ask. Who is it? It's Google. All right? But do you really want a Google of the Internet of Things? I want to be able to search everything public, but do I really want to search what happens in people's homes? Seriously? So this picture, everybody, when we think about I show you this picture for social interactions. Let's look at the picture for the Internet of Things. Same thing. Google bought the thermostat. They also bought a security camera. Of course, the security camera is going to tell the thermostat, nobody is home, please turn off the heat, all right? They need to talk to each other. But if all it means is that they have to take it all up to the Google data center before your thermostat can be informed that nobody is in the same house, it's a little bit of a scary picture. And who are building all these Internet of Things? Are they all going to be interoperable? Are they all going to be bought by Google? Or what does this mean? We just talked about how the game companies are squeezed by WeChat because it's a closed system. They are pushing only their games. All right? What does it mean for the Internet of Things? The picture that we have shown is exactly the same infrastructure for the Internet of Things. It is just a communication network for you to remotely control your thermostat. It is between you and your objects, and potentially you can have a cloud system that holds your own data. All right? When I switch from one fitness band to another fitness band, I still have my data because the data is mine under this model. So this is what we think is a really important change, important implication of a messaging-based infrastructure. What you want to do is not to standardize on the operating system, but to standardize on top of the messaging. And then on top of that, we have the P2P web pages. And this is how you can control the many, many billions of things. So in conclusion here is like, a messaging-based infrastructure is going to change all kinds of things. You will have a lot more social interactions. You're going to be able to connect with people right on the spot. Every single app on the phone will be social without us having to belong to somebody else. We will be using chats for businesses, not just for personal lives. And on top of that, all the things we will have a new architecture for the Internet of Things. So what I want to say in conclusion is that this is really a new paradigm. If you look at the computer generations, we have gone through 4 generations. We went from mainframe, and then we distribute things with PCs. Everybody rejoiced because they have control of their cycles. They have more cycles to themselves. But soon, before long, we say these things are too hard to carry. We have the technology now. Let's park everything into the cloud. That's fair. However, now with the billions and billions of phones, do we really expect centralization of how we share? Do we have to post our videos up to YouTube so that we can share videos with each other? It's not scalable. If you don't care about privacy or you don't care about open competition, you have to worry about, is this going to be scalable? This is the techie people can say that is not scalable. We believe that with the mobile device, it is the beginning, the dawn of a privacy economy where we care about people's privacy because this is how you're going to get to health, finance, everything else. And it is going to be the beginning of distributed computing systems. So I just want to tell everybody to jump in and pitch in, and let's change the world.